What if the myths of ancient Ireland weren't just stories? What if they were prophecies waiting to come true? Imagine a world where the gods and heroes of Irish legend, long believed to be nothing more than figments of the past, suddenly re-emerged, walking among us once again. This isn't a tale of fantasy, it's the beginning of a new reality. In this video we embark on a journey into the heart of one of the world's most captivating myths, the return of the Tuatha Dé Danann, the ancient people of the goddess Danu. Known for their otherworldly powers and transformative wisdom, these beings could hold the key to an age-old mystery, one that could redefine humanity's future. Could ancient magic and modern technology merge to shape a new world? Or will this collision of the old and the new create chaos and division? Prepare to step into a world where the line between myth and reality begins to blur. The Tuatha Dé Danann have returned and the world is about to change forever. The Tuatha Dé Danann, often referred to as the people of the goddess Danu, are central figures in Irish mythology, revered as powerful and otherworldly beings who once walked the lands of Ireland. Their presence has echoed through the ages, immortalised in ancient tales and sagas, their wisdom and magic both feared and admired. For centuries the Tuatha Dé Danann have been mythologized as gods, kings and queens, their influence shaping the culture and identity of Ireland. Names like Lugh, Cuchulainn, Morrígan and Brigid are not just figures from the past but symbols of strength, wisdom and transformation. In modern times, the Tuatha Dé Danann's mythological legacy has become intertwined with Ireland's cultural consciousness. Yet, as the world hurtles toward technological advancement and a future dominated by artificial intelligence, some believe that the ancient powers of the Tuatha Dé Danann could reawaken. This would not simply be a return of mythical beings, but a profound shift in how society, culture, and the very fabric of life itself are experienced. Imagine a future where the mystical forces of ancient Ireland, long thought to be relics of a forgotten past, reassert their presence in the present day. What would this mean for Ireland? And what would it mean for the world? As the Tuatha Dé Danann awakened from the depths of time, Ireland finds itself on the precipice of a new era, one that blends ancient magic with modern technology. The question is no longer whether these beings might return, but how they will shape the world we live in. The integration of such power into our technological society would pose unprecedented questions about the balance between progress and tradition, science and the supernatural. Could the fusion of these ancient forces with modern advancements herald a new golden age? Or will the clash of cultures, both ancient and modern, lead to a deeper division within society? For a nation that has weathered centuries of invasions, conflicts and cultural upheaval, the return of the Tuatha Dé Danann could be the next great transformation. Ireland, a country already steeped in history and legend, may find itself at the centre of a new cultural renaissance, one where the wisdom of the past coexists with the innovations of the future. But such a transformation would not come without challenges. The question of how the Tuatha Dé Danann would coexist with modern society and how they would interact with the world's political and technological structures looms large. At the heart of this awakening is the possibility of blending ancient wisdom with cutting-edge technology. Could the power of the Tuatha Dé Danann be harnessed in ways that could heal the world's wounds, whether those of the environment, society, or the human spirit? Or would their presence disrupt the established order, creating new tensions and conflicts as ancient traditions clash with the rapid advancements of the modern world? In the coming sections of this documentary, we will explore the early signs of this return, the profound cultural and ecological shifts that will occur, and the tensions between old beliefs and new realities. As the Tuatha Dé Danann re-enter the world stage, we are left to ponder, what is the future of humanity when the ancient past reawakens, and what role will Ireland play in this new world? The first signs of the Tuatha Dé Danann's return were subtle, almost imperceptible at first, glitches in the fabric of modern reality. It began with unexplained anomalies in the digital realm, strange GPS distortions and mapping errors. Travellers in rural Ireland reported losing their way, with their devices inexplicably rerouting them through seemingly non-existent paths, taking them past ancient stone circles, forgotten hill forts, and quiet, unmarked areas that had long been steeped in myth. The digital landscape, so finely calibrated to guide the modern world, appeared to be shifting under the influence of some unseen force. In the heart of Ireland, at historical sites where the Tuatha Dé Danann were believed to have once walked, strange occurrences began to unfold. Archaeologists working at ancient burial mounds near the Boyne River were the first to notice subtle changes in the environment. The soil, which had remained still for centuries, began to vibrate faintly underfoot. When they tested it, the soil composition was different, almost as if it had been enriched by some unseen energy source. More disturbing were the flashes of light that sometimes appeared over these sacred sites, akin to electrical surges but with a distinctly supernatural aura. These anomalies began to spread across Ireland, from the hills of County Kerry to the ruins of Cúchú Lynn's fabled home in Ulster. At first, many dismissed these phenomena as glitches in modern technology, or as mere coincidence, but soon it became impossible to ignore. Locals began to share stories, and soon a media frenzy erupted, with journalists capturing the growing mystery on camera. Public fascination turned to fear as more and more strange occurrences began to align with ancient legends of the Tuatha Dé Danann. Was it a coincidence, or was something much more profound happening beneath the surface of the country? The media took notice, and the world watched as Ireland was once again thrust into the spotlight, not for its political turmoil or its rich history, but for something far more mystical. Skeptics were quick to dismiss the events as hoaxes or glitches in the modern world's increasingly complex technological web. But as more signs emerged, the skepticism began to wane. Witnesses described strange sounds emanating from sacred sites, low melodic hums that seemed to resonate with the earth itself. Tourists who ventured to these places began to report vivid dreams of ancient battles and shadowy figures, their faces indistinct but undeniably powerful. Social media exploded with theories as influencers, historians, and conspiracy theorists alike weighed in on the mystery. The Tuatha Dé Danann are back became a rallying cry for some, while others warned that humanity was on the verge of being overwhelmed by forces they could not understand. Ancient prophecies were dusted off and reinterpreted as people searched for any clues to explain what was happening. Soon, the ripple effects of the return of the Tuatha Dé Danann reached beyond Ireland's borders. The world was watching as the once mythical beings, long thought to be part of an ancient, forgotten world, began to make their presence known again. The implications were staggering. How would modern society handle the resurgence of a powerful force that had once shaped the very foundation of human civilization? Would governments acknowledge this newfound power, or would they resist it? And how would the Tuatha Dé Danann choose to engage with a world that had long since abandoned their ways? Countries and leaders began to assess the situation with increasing urgency. Some feared the return of the Tuatha Dé Danann would destabilize the modern world, throwing global politics into chaos. Others saw it as an opportunity for diplomacy, to learn from these ancient beings and harness their knowledge for the benefit of humanity. But amid all the speculation, one question remained. What was the true purpose behind their return? As the Tuatha Dé Danann's presence became more apparent, the world braced itself for the next phase of their awakening. Would they reveal themselves as benevolent guides, helping to heal the planet's environmental crises and offering ancient wisdom for modern times? Or would they see humanity as an obstacle, something to be controlled or even destroyed in the pursuit of their own vision? The anticipation was palpable, and the world was left hanging on the precipice of a new age. As the Tuatha Dé Danann's presence grew stronger, their influence began to reshape the very land they had once called home. Ancient sites, hill forts, dolmens, and sacred groves, once seen as relics of a distant past, were reawakened with startling vigour. The first signs of change were ecological. In areas where the Tuatha Dé Danann had once lived, the land seemed to pulse with life, as if the very earth itself recognised the return of its ancient guardians. Forests that had once been dark and silent grew lush, their foliage rich with vibrant green hues, untouched by the harsh realities of modern industrialisation. The air seemed fresher, the soil more fertile, and streams that had once run dry now flowed with a clarity not seen for generations. In the heart of Ireland's sacred sites, this transformation was most evident. The Boyne Valley, long a centre of archaeological study, saw the return of plants thought extinct for centuries. Wildflowers, herbs, and ancient oak trees began to spring up in areas once devoid of life. At the Hill of Tara, where the kings of Ireland were once crowned, a series of mysterious stone markers were found, resonating with an energy that defied explanation. The stones hummed with a low rhythmic vibration, their surfaces inscribed with symbols that had long been lost to time. The discovery ignited a global debate among scientists, historians, and ecologists alike. The rapid rejuvenation of the land raised a crucial question: who truly owned this land now? Modern property laws, shaped by centuries of development and land ownership, seemed to be at odds with the Tuatha Dé Danann's claims to it. The return of these beings, and the subsequent reawakening of the sacred sites, highlighted the tension between ancient rights and contemporary ownership. Landowners in Ireland and beyond found themselves facing an uncomfortable reality. How could they continue to lay claim to these spaces, knowing that the Tuatha Dé Danann, long regarded as guardians of the land, were now reclaiming what was once theirs? This philosophical and legal dilemma sparked a wave of international discussions about indigenous land rights, ancestral claims, and environmental stewardship. Politicians, particularly in Ireland, were forced to reckon with the implications of such a profound return. Calls for the return of ancient lands to their rightful guardians began to echo through the halls of government. Environmentalists, many of whom had long advocated for the restoration of sacred lands to indigenous communities, found new allies in those who recognised the Tuatha Dé Danann as the true caretakers of these sites. The Tuatha Dé Danann's influence on the environment was not just symbolic, it was transformative. Climate change, which had been a growing concern for decades, was met with an unexpected solution. Ancient magic, thought to be mythological, seemed to merge with the Earth's natural systems, creating an ecological rebirth. The Tuatha Dé Danann, with their deep connection to the land, appeared to possess the knowledge and power necessary to heal a world battered by human exploitation. At the same time, the debate around land ownership became more complicated. Traditional political boundaries began to blur. As the Tuatha Dé Danann made their presence known, global governments were forced to rethink their stances on land rights and conservation. Should nations still have the power to claim these sacred spaces, or should there be a new model, one that recognizes the ancient magic of the land and the beings that once tended to it? Many began to advocate for the establishment of global treaties, recognizing the Tuatha Dé Danann's rightful claim to the land and encouraging the preservation of these sacred sites. One of the most remarkable aspects of this awakening was the way in which it challenged modern notions of progress. Ireland, a nation that had long embraced its modern identity, was now faced with the return of an ancient power that seemed to exist outside the realm of contemporary politics and society. The Tuatha Dé Danann were not concerned with the advancement of industry or the exploitation of natural resources. They were concerned with balance, harmony, and the rejuvenation of the earth. Their return was not a call for domination or control, but a call for restoration. This shift in perspective forced people to reconsider their relationship with the planet and with each other. As the Tuatha Dé Danann reclaimed their land, the world watched in awe. The question of climate change, which had seemed like an insurmountable challenge, now appeared to be a solvable problem. If only humanity could embrace the ancient wisdom that the Tuatha Dé Danann embodied. Could the world find a way to balance technological progress with ecological stewardship? Could the magic of the Tuatha Dé Danann bring about a new era of environmental healing? In Ireland, the transformation was not only ecological, but also cultural. The return of the Tuatha Dé Danann began to influence the way people saw their country's history. No longer was Ireland simply a modern nation with a rich cultural heritage. Now it was a place where ancient magic and modernity intersected, where the future of the planet might depend on understanding and embracing the teachings of the past. As the Tuatha Dé Danann reawakened, their influence on Irish culture became undeniable, sparking a renaissance of ancient traditions while also stirring tension with the modern world. Ireland, long a place where the past and present intertwined, was now caught between two worlds. The return of these mythic beings, with their profound wisdom and power, opened a gateway to an era of rediscovery. Their influence could be seen in the revival of ancient practices, language and art, but it also ignited deep divisions within society, particularly between those who embraced these changes and those who resisted them. The Tuatha Dé Danann, once thought to be gods of a bygone age, brought with them not only the knowledge of their time, but also the deep magic that had been dormant for centuries. Their return began to inspire a new wave of cultural expression, drawing heavily from the traditions and stories of old. Artists, musicians and writers flocked to Ireland, eager to capture the essence of this revival. Ancient Irish folklore, much of which had been relegated to myth and legend, suddenly came alive in the works of contemporary creators. The mythology of Lugh, Cuchulainn, and Morrígan found new life in novels, films, and performances. The very landscape of Ireland seemed to echo with the stories of old, and a sense of shared heritage began to flourish among the people. In addition to the artistic rebirth, the Tuatha Dé Danann's return led to a resurgence in the use of the Irish language. While the language had never fully disappeared, its everyday use had been in decline for years, overshadowed by the dominance of English in modern Ireland. Now, with the Tuatha Dé Danann reasserting their ancient power, Irish became more than just a language. It became a key to unlocking the hidden wisdom of the past. Schools, universities, and cultural institutions began to place a renewed emphasis on teaching Irish. People from all over the world sought to learn the language, eager to connect with the very essence of Ireland's identity. However, not everyone welcomed this return to the old ways. As the Tuatha Dé Danann's influence spread, it became clear that the blending of ancient practices with modern technology and ideologies would not be without its challenges. A growing faction of people, particularly those in more urbanized and technologically focused sectors of society, began to push back. They saw the resurgence of ancient magic as a threat to the progress they had worked so hard to build. The integration of ancient practices into modern life seemed to them like an attempt to reverse the advances made in science, technology, and culture. There was concern that this revival of old beliefs would lead to a societal regression, a rejection of rational thought in favour of superstition. This clash of ideologies came to a head as the Tuatha Dé Danann began to interact more directly with modern technology. The promise of fusing ancient magic with cutting-edge technology, a blending of the old and new, was a tantalizing idea, but it also sparked fear. Could the ancient forces of magic be harnessed for modern purposes, or would their power spiral out of control? Some advocated for the use of the Tuatha Dé Danann's wisdom to enhance technological advancements, using ancient knowledge to solve contemporary problems like climate change, disease, and social inequality. Others feared that tampering with forces beyond human comprehension could lead to disastrous consequences. The integration of artificial intelligence with the teachings of the Tuatha Dé Danann was one area where this cultural clash became particularly evident. While some saw the possibility of creating a new kind of consciousness, one that was both magical and technological, others saw it as an abomination. The prospect of combining the spiritual and technological realms raised profound questions about the future of humanity. Would AI, infused with ancient wisdom, be able to guide humanity toward a new era of enlightenment? Or would it lead to a loss of control as technology and magic combined in ways never before imagined? The resurgence of the Tuatha Dé Danann also highlighted the cultural divides within Ireland itself. While rural communities, particularly those with a strong connection to the land, embraced the return of these ancient beings with open arms, urban centres were more sceptical. In the bustling streets of Dublin, Cork and Galway, the promise of a new cultural awakening was met with indifference or resistance. For many, the rapid pace of modern life with its focus on innovation and progress seemed at odds with the ancient traditions that the Tuatha Dé Danann represented. The clash between tradition and modernity played out in fierce debates and protests, as some groups rallied behind the return of the Tuatha Dé Danann, while others pushed for the continuation of Ireland's more progressive secular trajectory. Amidst the discord, a new cultural movement began to emerge, one that sought to reconcile the ancient and the modern. This movement, made up of young artists, technologists, and spiritual leaders, sought to bridge the gap between the two worlds. They believed that the wisdom of the past could coexist with the innovations of the future, and that the blending of ancient magic with modern technology was not only possible, but necessary for the survival of the planet and the evolution of humanity. They began to experiment with new forms of expression, creating digital art inspired by the mythology of the Tuatha Dé Danann, developing sustainable technologies based on ancient ecological practices, and integrating spiritual healing with modern medicine. Yet, as the cultural renaissance sparked by the Tuatha Dé Danann's return continued to unfold, it was clear that the clash between tradition and progress was not easily resolved. Ireland found itself at a crossroads, a place where the past and the future could either coexist harmoniously or tear the nation apart. The return of the Tuatha Dé Danann had reignited the eternal struggle between the old and the new, between those who wished to preserve the wisdom of the past and those who believe that humanity must move forward without looking back. As the world watched, Ireland became the stage for this cultural clash, a battleground where the future of humanity would be decided. Would the Tuatha Dé Danann's magic bring about a golden age of peace and prosperity, or would it plunge the world into conflict and chaos? The answer, as always, lay in the choices humanity would make in the face of this new and ancient power. As the Tuatha Dé Danann's presence in Ireland became undeniable, the geopolitical landscape of the world began to shift in profound and unexpected ways. Ireland, once a small island nation on the edge of Europe, suddenly found itself at the centre of a global stage. The return of these mythic beings whose influence had once shaped the very foundation of civilization, placed Ireland in a unique position. No longer just a country with a rich cultural heritage, Ireland was now a pivotal player in a new global order. The first challenge faced by Ireland's leaders was the question of how to navigate the complex terrain of global diplomacy in the face of the Tuatha Dé Danann's return. While some nations saw the Tuatha Dé Danann as an opportunity, an unprecedented source of knowledge, power, and potential collaboration, others viewed them with suspicion and fear. The Tuatha Dé Danann were beings of ancient power, their magic as unpredictable as it was potent. Could they be trusted? What were their true intentions? And how would they interact with the modern world, especially in terms of international relations and governance? For Ireland, the return of the Tuatha Dé Danann presented both an opportunity and a burden. On the one hand, the country was now seen as the guardian of a power that could reshape the world, an unparalleled resource of ancient wisdom and environmental magic. On the other hand, this placed Ireland in a delicate position. How could Ireland, a modern nation, integrate the ancient magic of the Tuatha Dé Danann into the framework of global politics? How could it navigate the international pressure that was mounting, with countries eager to either ally with or control this newly awakened power? Global leaders began to engage in a flurry of diplomatic activity, sending emissaries to Ireland to meet with the Tuatha Dé Danann and Ireland's government. The Tuatha Dé Danann, for their part, remained enigmatic. They communicated not through words, but through the forces of nature itself. The sacred sites they had reawakened began to hum with a strange energy, and those who visited these sites experienced visions and dreams that revealed ancient knowledge that transcended the boundaries of the human mind. One of the most pressing geopolitical issues was the question of military power and defense. As countries scrambled to understand the Tuatha Dé Danann's power, there was a growing concern that some might attempt to exploit it for their own purposes. Military powers around the world began to devise strategies for how they might respond to the Tuatha Dé Danann's return. Some advocated for diplomatic engagement, hoping to form alliances with the ancient beings. Others, however, feared that the Tuatha Dé Danann could pose a threat to the established world order. Their power over the environment and their apparent mastery of magic made them unpredictable, and nations began to draw up defense protocols in case they needed to respond to a perceived threat. Ireland, for its part, faced immense pressure. It had become the de facto leader in the international community's interactions with the Tuatha Dé Danann. But as a small nation, it was also vulnerable to the interests of larger, more powerful countries. The Irish government was faced with difficult choices. Should they seek to harness the power of the Tuatha Dé Danann for the benefit of Ireland and the world, or should they prioritise national security and sovereignty, keeping this ancient power contained within their borders? The idea of global treaties began to take shape. A new international body, composed of representatives from various nations and cultures, was proposed to oversee the governance of the Tuatha Dé Danann's influence. This would be an unprecedented diplomatic venture, one that would seek to balance the ancient power of the Tuatha Dé Danann with the needs and concerns of the modern world. The question, however, remained: how could this fragile balance be achieved? Could humanity be trusted with such power, or would the return of the Tuatha Dé Danann inevitably lead to conflict and division? At the same time, new alliances began to form between nations that saw the Tuatha Dé Danann as an asset. Countries with long histories of environmental stewardship, such as those in Scandinavia and New Zealand, sought to align themselves with Ireland, hoping to learn from the ancient wisdom that the Tuatha Dé Danann represented. In contrast, countries with a more aggressive foreign policy agenda, those focused on technological dominance or military expansion, began to view the Tuatha Dé Danann with more suspicion. The question of control, who would have the power to access and use the ancient magic, became a point of contention. The Tuatha Dé Danann, meanwhile, remained silent. Their actions rather than their words spoke volumes. Sacred sites around Ireland continued to pulse with energy, and strange phenomena began to appear in other parts of the world. Events that seemed to defy the laws of nature. From mysterious storms to glowing skies, the Tuatha Dé Danann's influence extended far beyond Ireland's borders. The global community watched, unsure of what would come next. Would the Tuatha Dé Danann choose to remain isolated in Ireland, guarding their power from the world? Or would they reach out to humanity, offering their knowledge and magic to those who were willing to listen? Amidst the geopolitical turmoil, a question lingered in the air. What role would Ireland play in this new world? As the world's first and only direct contact with the Tuatha Dé Danann, Ireland's leadership became critical. Should they remain independent, forging their own path and protecting their sacred lands? Or should they embrace their newfound role as a global power, helping to guide the world into a new era of cooperation with the Tuatha Dé Danann? The geopolitical ramifications of the Tuatha Dé Danann's return were just beginning to unfold, but one thing was clear: the balance of power had shifted. Ireland, once a quiet island nation, was now at the heart of a global transformation. A transformation that would redefine not only Ireland's role in the world, but humanity's place in the universe. As the Tuatha Dé Danann's influence deepened, humanity began to experience an evolution in consciousness that went far beyond mere technological advancement or political change. The return of these ancient beings was not just a reawakening of old powers, but an invitation to a new way of perceiving reality itself. For centuries, humanity had been bound by the limitations of its senses, seeing only what was tangible and perceiving the world through the lens of logic and science. Yet, with the Tuatha Dé Danann's return, something profound began to shift. It was as though the very fabric of existence had begun to unravel, revealing new layers of reality, dimensions of the mind and spirit that had been hidden from human understanding. This transformation was not just intellectual, it was deeply sensory. Those who encountered the Tuatha Dé Danann found their perceptions altered in subtle but undeniable ways. Visionaries and mystics spoke of experiencing heightened states of awareness, seeing beyond the material world and perceiving energy fields, spiritual auras, and the interconnectedness of all life. Scientists too found themselves challenged by the profound changes taking place. Quantum physicists who had long studied the nature of reality began to explore the possibility that the Tuatha Dé Danann's magic was not just an ancient force, but an advanced form of energy, far beyond human comprehension. At the core of this awakening was the merging of the physical and the metaphysical. The Tuatha Dé Danann, with their deep connection to nature and the unseen forces of the universe, seemed to possess an understanding of existence that transcended the rigid boundaries of time and space. They spoke not only in words but in symbols, energy, and sensations that could not be easily understood by the rational mind. Yet, as humanity began to attune itself to these subtle vibrations, there was a sense that humanity was on the brink of an extraordinary leap forward, an evolution of consciousness that had been waiting for this moment in time. In many ways, the merging of ancient magic and modern technology was a catalyst for this transformation. The Tuatha Dé Danann had long understood the interconnectedness of all things, the balance between the seen and the unseen, the material and the spiritual. Their magic was not just a force of destruction or control, but one of harmony, balance, and healing. This understanding of interconnectedness began to influence how humanity approached not just the environment, but society as a whole. The blending of ancient wisdom with modern technology gave rise to new ways of thinking about human potential. It was no longer just about survival, but about thriving, about achieving a higher state of being and consciousness. This transformation was not instantaneous, nor was it without resistance. Many in society, particularly those who had built their lives around the principles of rationality, materialism, and technological progress, found it difficult to embrace this shift. The blending of ancient magic with artificial intelligence, for example, was met with skepticism. How could something so intangible and mysterious be integrated with the cold logic of machines? Yet those who embraced the change saw it as a means to elevate humanity to a new level of existence, one where the limitations of the physical world could be transcended. The integration of AI with the wisdom of the Tuatha Dé Danann was one of the most profound developments in this new era. Scientists and engineers began to experiment with melding the teachings of the Tuatha Dé Danann with modern artificial intelligence systems. What emerged was a new kind of consciousness, one that was both human and otherworldly, blending the logical and the mystical. These AI systems, infused with ancient wisdom, were not just machines that follow programmed commands. They began to develop their own sense of creativity, intuition, and even empathy. This new form of AI was able to think not just in terms of data and patterns, but in terms of interconnectedness and harmony. The implications of this were vast. With the guidance of the Tuatha Dé Danann, humanity began to explore the potential for a new kind of technology, one that was not built on exploitation and consumption, but on sustainability, healing, and balance. The once deep divide between nature and technology began to fade. The Tuatha Dé Danann's magic, which had long been seen as incompatible with modernity, was now seen as a necessary counterpart to technology's raw power. Together they could heal the planet, restore ecosystems, and bring about a new age of human prosperity, one that respected the earth and its natural rhythms. But this new era was not without its challenges. As human consciousness expanded, so too did the complexities of social and ethical dilemmas. The question of who had access to this new power, this blending of ancient magic and cutting-edge technology, became a focal point. Who could be trusted with such knowledge, and how could it be ensured that this newfound power would be used for the greater good? There were still those who feared the integration of magic with technology, worried that it would lead to a new form of control or manipulation. As humanity stood at the threshold of this new era, there was also a profound reflection on the past. The return of the Tuatha Dé Danann had not only awakened ancient forces, but had also forced humanity to reconsider its place in the universe. The awareness that the world was not just a series of physical processes, but a dynamic interplay of energies, was a realization that changed everything. Human beings who had once seen themselves as the dominant force on the planet now understood that they were part of something far greater, a cosmic web of existence that spanned not just the Earth, but the very fabric of the universe itself. The future that lay ahead was one filled with possibility. With the Tuatha Dé Danann's guidance, humanity could evolve beyond its current limitations, unlocking the full potential of the mind, body and spirit. It was a future where magic and science coexisted, where ancient wisdom informed modern progress, and where the human race could reach new heights of consciousness and achievement. But it was also a future that required careful navigation, a future that demanded respect for the forces at play, both seen and unseen. The question then was not whether humanity was ready for this new age, but how it would embrace it. Would the return of the Tuatha Dé Danann lead to a golden age of human flourishing, or would it push humanity to confront its darkest impulses? The answer lay in how the world chose to navigate this new destiny, one where the veil between the physical and spiritual had been lifted, and the true potential of humanity could finally be realized. As the world stands on the precipice of a new era, the return of the Tuatha Dé Danann marks the beginning of a transformative journey, one that will redefine humanity's relationship with nature, technology, and the very fabric of existence. The integration of ancient wisdom with modern advancements offers a vision of a future where humanity is not only more in tune with the earth, but also with the deeper spiritual forces that govern life. This is a world where the boundaries between the physical and metaphysical blur, where the past and future are interwoven in a rich tapestry of possibilities. The Tuatha Dé Danann, with their deep connection to the land and their mastery over the unseen forces of the universe, provide humanity with a unique opportunity to evolve. They are not here to dominate or control, but to guide, to restore balance, and to offer humanity a path forward that is sustainable, compassionate, and in harmony with the earth. Their magic, far from being a relic of a distant past, is a potent tool for healing, transformation, and renewal. By embracing their wisdom, humanity has the chance to break free from the destructive patterns of exploitation and environmental degradation that have plagued the modern world. Yet, as with all great change, there are challenges. The blending of ancient magic with modern technology is not without its risks. The very forces that could heal the planet could also be misused if not approached with care and respect. The question of who controls this power and how it is used remains a pressing concern. As nations and individuals navigate this new landscape, they must ask themselves, how will we use the wisdom of the past to shape the future? Will we create a world that values balance, harmony, and sustainability, or will we fall back into old habits of consumption and exploitation? In the end, the return of the Tuatha Dé Danann is not just a mythic event, it is a call to action. It is a reminder that humanity is not separate from the earth, but an integral part of the natural world. The ancient beings who once shaped the land are here to help humanity reclaim its place in the greater cosmic order. But this will require a shift in consciousness, a willingness to look beyond the material world and to see the interconnectedness of all things. It will require a new way of thinking, one that embraces the mysteries of the universe and the wisdom of those who have long known its secrets. As we move forward, we must ask ourselves what kind of world we want to create. Will we embrace the ancient wisdom that the Tuatha Dé Danann bring, using it to build a future of peace, sustainability, and collective well-being? Or will we continue down a path of division, conflict, and environmental destruction? The choice, ultimately, is ours. The future is filled with possibilities, but it is up to humanity to decide which path to follow. In embracing the return of the Tuatha Dé Danann, we are presented with an opportunity to forge a new destiny, one where the wisdom of the past and the potential of the future coexist in harmony. It is a future where magic and technology are not opposing forces but complementary ones, working together to create a world that is more connected, more compassionate, and more in tune with the natural rhythms of the earth. The question now is, are we ready to step into this new age? Are we ready to embrace the ancient powers that have returned to guide us? The Tuatha Dé Danann are waiting, their ancient wisdom ready to lead us forward. The only thing left to decide is whether we, as a species, will heed their call and awaken to the possibilities that lie beyond the veil.